For this practice, we are pulling out all the stops. We're going to be working on mid-back flexibility and resilience. So we really want to expand the breath into the thoracic spine. And this will really help you develop a full body awareness and also the ability to build pelvic floor function. Without a really powerful understanding of the breath and feeling the breath in the body, it's going to be impossible to feel what's happening in your pelvic floor, let alone be able to have some dynamic control or awareness of what's happening there. So we're always managing pressures when it comes to pelvic floor dysfunction. And also in real life, we should be having this beautiful three-dimensional breath, and most of us don't. And so I'm going to show you some modifications, sort of the first step, especially if you're tight in the back or tight in the knees or sore kneecaps. And so the first modification, and for this practice, you'll want a chair, something really simple, and you may not even need that. You want a bolster, and I like putting a few pillows in a king-size pillowcase if you don't have a bolster, and a couple of blocks. A few books stacked together will also work. And so this first one will be really building that breath into the thoracic spine. So think, bra line level, space between the shoulder blades. So we're expanding not just belly and chest, not even just into the side body, but building that breath into the back body. And so you can fold the blanket up and bring that beneath your knees. Bring the chair so that the seat is facing you. And then we'll hug into the bolster. And so we really want to find a nice firm contact of belly and chest, really hug in. So we're creating some resistance. And if that's too much on the knees or the back, you can lift your seat with a block. See how that feels. And we're really making nice, strong contact. And if you don't need the chair, another option is to set the chair aside and really hug into the bolster. You can make a little ramp of the bolster. Bring the bolster so that it's making contact as much as you can with the belly and chest. And then we'll find that three-dimensional breath that we're talking about. So bringing each inhalation into the space between the heart and the front ribs, and between the heart and the back ribs. Feel the belly expand and gently push into the bolster. And once you feel that, imagine that that resistance in the front body is going to create a greater expansion in the back body. You can even visualize a space at the very center of the back expanding and expanding even more, expanding into those side ribs, kind of visualize them puffing outward. Sometimes you can even breathe so deeply that you create a stretch right there in the upper back. Making sure to keep the shoulders relaxed and the jaw relaxed. Let your head be comfortable. You might bring one cheek to the bolster. A few more moments here. And then we'll increase the breath even more. So exhale all the way. Feel the chest drop down, sternum drop down. Then inhale really fully, imagining that you're inflating sort of a beach ball in the center of the torso. Inhaling a bit more. Drawing a bit more breath in and holding full. And feel that expansion as the heat of the body heats up and expands the breath. And then let it go. Feel all of that release. Another breath in. Inhaling a little bit more deeply. Shoulders stay relaxed. Face stays relaxed. Hold full. And let it go. One more time. Inhaling as much as you possibly can, imagining that you can inhale the shoulder blades right off the back body, inhaling the ribs right off the back body, holding full, and then release. And then press away from the bolster. Set the chair aside if you've been using the chair. Set the bolster aside. I'm just going to move this chair out of the screen. I think it's already out of the screen, but okay. So this next exercise will be working similar to a cat and cow, but we're going to start with some thoracic mobility. And so I like the sensation to engage the low belly, to bring the hand up to the belly and press up until you can really feel that low back flatten out. So we really want a neutral spine here, and we're going to bring a block right to the lumbar spine. So you can even let the tailbone lift, let the belly drop, and you'll feel kind of the edges of that block. You can even bring the block lengthwise, sort of like sideways, so that if you sway the back, you'll really notice. And then we're going to bring one hand. Actually, first engage the belly. So sides of the waist draw in and up. Imagine you can pull front ribs to back ribs to front ribs, pubic bone in and tailbone back. Gaze is down, neck is really relaxed here. And then bring the fingertips behind the head and begin to turn the torso with the breath in. See if you can keep that block stable, and then exhale, release down. Take a breath. And then other side, making sure the fingers of that standing hand are spread wide and active. Inhaling, rotating, trying not to let that block move very much. And exhale down. Nice. We're going to do that one breath, one movement, 2 times through. So you might even spiral the pointer fingers out a little bit, making sure the back stays nice and flat. Inhale to open, maybe look, and exhale down. Hand comes down. Inhale, open, and exhale down. That time I really felt the block move. So you can imagine turning the ribs, turning the sternum. You'll definitely get a stretch for the chest as well in that standing arm. Reset the core. You might be getting a little bit of fatigue. You can tuck the toes. Inhale, other side. And exhale, hand comes down. Inhale. And exhale down. One more time. Inhale. And exhale down. Set the block aside. We'll come into puppy pose. So send the arms forward and wide. It's a little bit wider than your mat. And allow the tailbone to lift, heart to drop down. Elbows can be really bent here. Arms can be straight. Just depends on how it feels in your shoulders. But really going for a nice opening for the chest, for perhaps the underarms, the upper shoulder area. Letting the back sway can feel like a release. One more breath in. And a big breath out. And then we'll come back into table. We'll do another thoracic spine movement called thread the needle. And so if you need that padding beneath your knees, that's perfectly fine. Look back, make sure your feet are about hip distance, knees hip distance. Then we're going to come into what we call extended table. So walking the hands from right beneath the shoulders to maybe a handprint further forward. And we're gonna hug the belly in and up, sides the waist in and up, getting the sense that the pelvis is neither tilted up nor tucked under, that it's really neutral. And then we'll sweep one hand up, and again, rotate through the upper chest. You can bend that elbow, so you're pulling the upper arm in toward the side body. Elbow ends up being like 90 degrees. And then we'll sweep that arm underneath so that the arm is perpendicular to the long edge of the mat, and you really reach with the palm facing the sky and roll gently onto the back of the arm, placing the temple on the ground. And then see if you want to shimmy the hips left or right or a little bit forward or back, but we're going for that stretch through the shoulder blade. And you may be wondering, where does the pelvic floor work come in? And we're coming to that. One more breath in and out. And then inhale, come back to that extended table. Couple little cat and cows to reset the spine here. And then find that nice neutral pelvis, strong core. Inhale, reach the other arm up. Squeeze the elbow in like you're trying to bring the elbow in toward the mid-back. Kind of spiraling the sternum, spiraling the ribs. And then exhale, reaching under, reach, reach, reach. Back of the shoulder, back of the arm comes down. Side of the head or temple comes down. Using the supporting hand to bring you into this twist. 5 breaths. And we're using the breath here as a tool to create that spinal mobility. Getting some of that stickiness from behind the shoulder blade, where the shoulder blade is really tucked in by the vertebra. One more breath in and out. And then supporting hand comes right in front of the face, press up. Couple cat and cows. And child's pose. Let the knees go as wide as is comfortable. And again, if you're feeling some tightness or restriction there, you can bring something behind the bum, or even like I just did, between the backs of the thighs and the backs of the calves. Softening here. Deep breath in and deep breath out. One more cycle of breath. And then we'll come back up. We'll come to kneeling, and we will come into what we call gate pose. And gate pose is a really nice one for the adductors, the inner thighs. And here we'll build awareness of the pelvic floor breath. And so you'll want your blocks. You can place, like I just did, the blanket beneath the shins. Place the blocks to either side. You'll want to adjust those later. And zip up through the belly. So checking to see that the hip points are in line with the pubic bone. And so that's called a neutral pelvis. So you can really feel that. And we'll feel the pelvic floor breath here. So you could do hands to hips. And as a refresher, as the breath gets big, the pelvic floor drops down. And as you exhale, diaphragm squeezes up and the pelvic floor just naturally lifts. So inhaling, pubic bones, sitting bones, tailbone widen. And exhale, without any effort, they come back together. So here we're not doing a Kegel, we're just doing that pelvic floor breath. And if you're not able to feel the pelvic floor breath, you might want to go back to our Core and Floor Foundations workshop. And then we're going to maintain that awareness in our gate pose. So send one leg long And look down. Check to see that the pubic bone and hip points are in alignment, hip over knee, shin parallel. And don't worry too much about how straight or how bent this leg is or what direction the foot is facing. Kind of want it to go straight out so that the hips are in line with the shoulders, ankle in line with the hips. We're really in a nice plane here. And then inhale, reaching up. We're gonna do our pelvic floor breath here. So inhaling, pelvic floor drops down. Exhaling, it gently lifts. Inhaling. And exhaling. One more inhale. And then this time, the hand closest to the leg is gonna drop down. Inhale, lifted hand reaches up. And exhale, lifted hand reaches over. Breathe into the side body and check to see that the chest hasn't gone in front of the plane of the hips. Might even feel like you're leaning back a little bit. Press into the leg that's on the ground. Inhale, come up, both hands reach up. And then exhale, find the other block or the other hand coming down. See if you can zip up through the belly here, adjust, really being mindful of where you place the block. It doesn't have to be right beneath the shoulder, but it can be. Reaching straight up, pushing straight down. And then reaching, imagine the back of the hand is in a long line with the top of that thigh. So that whole side of the body is long. And we're just continuing with that pelvic floor breath. And then to come out, we'll sweep forward, let the chest come forward, hips back, step the extended leg in, and then find your pelvic floor breath. Bring the knees about hip distance. Doesn't look like you're doing anything, but you are. And then we'll go to the other side so you can get your block ready. Find that alignment, even heart over hips. Send the leg out, reset. Hip over knee, shin straight back. And getting the sense that you're all in alignment. Again, don't worry too much about how bent or straight, as long as it's going mostly straight out from the hip. Hips are mostly level. Mine will always be a little bit out of level, just the way my body's built. And then inhale, reach up, pelvic floor descends. Exhale, feel the pelvic floor lift. Inhale, descend. And then exhale, side stretch, tipping over that leg. Notice if this side is a little bit tighter or less tight than the other. 3 more breaths. See if you can still feel those femurs, the heads of the sitting bones moving. And then gently come back up. Inhale. Exhale, pelvic floor lifts. Drop down. And see if you want it right underneath you. Reaching up. Inhale. And then exhale over, spiraling the ring finger and pinky finger down. Maybe look over the axis of the body and see if you need to open. One more breath in. And then with the exhale, again, we're engaging the pelvic floor a little bit. We're feeling it lift. We're gonna swoop forward with the exhale. With the inhale, we're gonna come up. And exhale, shimmy it out a little bit. Nicely done, everyone. Awesome. So we'll do a little bit more of that gate pose and work on the thoracic mobility and that pelvic floor breath. But we won't hold it as long. So big inhale, extend, and reset. Exhale, inhale, reach. Engage the pelvic floor, exhale. And then that top hand comes to the head. Inhale, open. And then exhale, maybe reach a little bit more. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, over. Engage the pelvic floor. You can even do a little Kegel here. Inhaling. And then again, hand to head, open, turning the sternum up. Reach back if you want. You can keep the elbow bent. And then inhale. And then exhale, engage the pelvic floor, sweeps forward. Inhale, back to kneeling. Exhale to your gate pose, set it up. Inhale, reach. Exhale, over. Inhale, hand to head, open. And exhale, reach even more. Inhale, both hands up. Exhale, over. Lift up the pelvic floor. Inhale. Imagine the pelvic floor is dropping down and softening. And then hand to head. Inhale. And then exhale. Reach. And then inhale. Exhale, sweep it down. Inhaling up. Nicely done. Excellent. And we'll come into our final relaxation and we'll do what's called a heart opener, which really means opening the ribs, opening the chest, getting the shoulders to go wide. And so you bring your bolster sideways. And this could be a little intense for some people. And so you might bring a blanket beneath the bolster and snuggle it right up. You might even bring a block for beneath your head. And so you'll bring your sacrum, snuggle it right up to touch the bolster. And then we'll come lying down, as we really want the bolster to fill the space between the hips and the armpits. And you don't want your bum floating in the air. So if the bum is lifted, bring that blanket a little bit more. See how that feels. Arms out to a T or even goalpost or a Y. And see if you want to drop the head down. Chin into a grapefruit-sized space away from the chest. And then allow the knees to rest against each other and let the feet go wide. See how that feels. Is there anything you need to adjust? We usually don't get our setup right for our body the first time. So definitely see what feels good. And then let it all go. Spend as much time as you need here. Just remembering when we ever do pelvic floor work and engagement, it's especially important to relax and soften. So as you inhale, you can really feel the bowl of the pelvis expand. Feel the pelvic floor drop down toward the feet a little bit. Really soften, and as you exhale, you might notice the pelvic floor lift. But don't do any engagement, really. As you inhale, soften. And spending as much time as you like here. And don't shortchange yourself on the relaxation aspect of your pelvic floor work. It's the most important part, because without those relaxed muscles, when we need them to really act appropriately and engage, they're going to be too tired to do so. we'll just fade out the video, but definitely stay here as long as you'd like.